Welcome back to another review video. All right, today we are entering the last target of Unit 6, Target 6D. Investigate the relationship between angle pairs formed by intersecting lines. So, when we are thinking about intersecting lines, right, this word means you have two lines that intersect each other or more. It could be you have a bunch, now you have more, now you have more, right? It just means you have lines that are intersecting each other. And when it says angle pairs, it's like, how do we see the relationship between all the kind of angles that we have going on here, okay? So it says, use the image below for questions number 1 and number 2. So we're going to use this one over here. So name a pair of vertical angles. So vertical angles means they're across from each other. So the simplest way to see this is if you just had two intersecting lines. The vertical angles are the ones across from each other, so like those two, or you can do the other side like those two, okay? So we're looking at an image, and the other thing is they have to be congruent, so they have to be the same number of degrees. So if we're looking at our image, we have quite a few ones that are across from each other, right? We could say, oh, this one and that one. Well, right, they don't look to be congruent. They're not the same number of degrees. Okay, well then how about like this one and that one? Again, not the same number of degrees, okay? This one and this one, those ones, right? If we completely ignored this line right here, if this line right here did not exist, right, we would look and see, oh, those two lines are right across from each other, which means they have to be equal. And so when we give angles, we have a first name, a middle name, and a last name. Okay, same thing with kind of like triangles. You have a first name, a middle name, and a last name. So we have, so the first name, I'm going to need a little bit more room here. So we said, I don't know why things got deleted. So angle, so SZN, right? So you have to put an angle sign in front to show you're looking at an angle, and then you have the first name, middle name, and last name, and then we have to give the angle that it goes with. So first name, middle name, last name. So they have the same middle name. So then our other one is angle MZY. So those are vertical angles. Now it's saying which angle is complementary to angle AZN. So complementary means that it makes 90 degrees, okay? So an example is, let's say you had these two angles, right? You had some intersecting lines going on right here. Well, you see right here is a 90-degree angle, okay? So then this angle plus this angle are complementary because these two angles, when you put them all together, it makes the 90 degrees. So this angle and this angle make 90 degrees when you put them together, so they are complementary. They complement each other. They make 90 degrees. So let me erase the colors that are on here right now so you can kind of see what's going on. So we want with angle AZN, so first name A, middle name Z, last name N. So we're looking at this angle right here. So we can see that if we go like this, we have that 90-degree angle. So we want to give the name of this angle right here, so when you put them together, in total you get 90 degrees, right? Because AZN, that blue angle that we see over here, this blue angle, it's not fully 90 degrees. We'd have to add this other angle onto it in order to make the whole 90 degrees. So then we have to write the name of this angle. So first name, middle name, last name. So SZN. Perfect. Okay. So it says use the diagram below for number 3. So this diagram of an airport runway intersection shows 2 parallel runways. A taxiway crosses both runways. So, woo, my computer fan is going. Sorry if you can hear it. Okay, so we've got 2 parallel runways. So this runway right here, they're parallel. And then a taxiway crosses both of them. So it says angle 1 measures 100 degrees. We have to figure out what the sum of angles 8 and 5 are. So this requires us to think a little bit, well, what does sum mean? So the sum is when you add 2 things together. So we're adding 8 and 5 together, okay? But we have to figure out how many degrees each one of them are. So it tells us angle 1 right here is 100 degrees. Well, it looks like 1 and 8 are actually equal to each other. So 8 is also 100 degrees. And since 8 and 5 are across from each other, 5 is yet again 100 degrees. So we figured out 8 is 100 degrees, 5 is 100 degrees. So when we put them together, $100, and then we add the other 100 degrees onto it, we get 200 degrees in total. Right? So we found the sum of those 2. We added them together. All right, so last one. Find the measurement. So when it says measurement, you're looking for degrees. Looking for the number of degrees of FCG. So F, first name, middle name, C, last name, G. So we're looking for how many degrees is that angle, okay? And looking at it, it's like, okay, well, they don't really give us any information on that angle, but what they do give us are these 2 angles. And they're across from each other. They are vertical angles, right? This one and this one are vertical angles because they're across from each other. And vertical angles are congruent. So vertical angles are congruent, which means the same, equal. So we're going to say x plus 5 equals 4x minus 10. And we're going to solve it. So we've got x's on both sides. So what we have to do is get all the x's onto just one side. So, right, if it's just an x, there's an invisible 1 there. Okay, so between 1x and 4x, 1x is smaller. So I'm going to get rid of the 1x from both sides. Okay, so I'm kind of like taking an x away off of both sides so that I don't have any more on the left. So I've got just the 5 left over on this side. 4x minus 1x is 3x, and then bring down that minus 10. Alright, well now we're still trying to solve for x, so we have to get rid of that minus 10. So we do the opposite. So we add 10, right? The opposite of minus 10 is plus 10. So now that we do that, okay, we've got 3x is now by itself, and then 5 plus 10 is 15. Last step is to divide both sides by 3 because there's a 3 in front of that x. And so 15 divided by 3 is 5. So now we have figured out what x is, and that's going to help us figure out what our question mark angle is. So kind of one of the important things to know is that when a straight line is 180 degrees. So that means when we put these 2 angles together, we'll get 180 degrees in total. So x plus 5. So we figured out that x is actually 5. So 5 plus 5 is 10. Okay, so that means this angle is 10 degrees. So we know these 2 put together, right? We're looking here. This angle and this angle, they make a straight line when you put them together, so they're 180 degrees. Well, this section is 10 degrees, so we have to figure out, well, how much is this section then? So we take the 180 and we subtract off the 10 to figure out what's left. Oh, 170 degrees. So this is our answer. Alright, so that is everything for Target 60. Go ahead and do your retake. May the force be with you.